Well, we are set for News Extra on KNEB, brought to you by First State Bank, Scottsbluff and Gering. And here's Kevin Mooney with our program.
Thank you very much, Steve, and good morning, everyone. We're very pleased to have Senator Deb Fischer on our program this morning as she is traveling the Panhandle, doing town halls, coffees, all that kind of stuff during the August break. By the way, today she'll be at Bluff's Bakery, 1570 Broadway, for a coffee right around 8:30 this morning. So she'll be there to answer any questions and talk to the constituents. 1570 Broadway, Bluffs Bakery at 8:30 this morning. So let's, I'm sure one of the first questions you're going to get at this coffee is where you stand with Mr. Trump. So let's get that out of the way first.
Okay, well, yes, that's a big question because there's so much interest in this election. It's kind of a unique election this year, very fascinating to watch it. I do support Donald Trump. From the beginning, I said I would support the Republican nominee, and I will support Mr. Trump.
All right. And I know you supported Mr. Rubio in the primary battle. Was it difficult to move over and support Trump after it was all said and done?
Well, Marco Rubio was my first choice, and but it wasn't difficult at all for me to support Mr. Trump. I align with the views of the Republican Party. I do not align with Hillary Clinton's views, especially on Second Amendment and the proper role of government. She has moved really far left, I believe, and so she sees a different role for government. I want a federal government that is not intrusive in our lives, and I'm concerned if she's elected, our country will continue to move to more liberal policies.
All right. Some of the things that have gone on in Washington, we have the Iran ransom thing that's come out over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and more information all the time. Concerns about us paying other countries money for hostages coming back to us?
I'm really concerned about the perception that's out there.
Yeah.
When we have 4 Americans who are released after a big cash payment is made the same day. It sure looked like it was a ransom that was being paid. That just puts American citizens in danger, that they're going to be kidnapped in the future. And so I think if it wasn't stated as a quid pro quo for a ransom, I think it sure gives that perception that it was, and that bothers me.
Yeah. Now, you've done a number of things in Washington, introduced a lot of legislation, one of them to help farmers with some of the regulations they face.
Yeah, we have so many regulations in this country. I hear that from people in agriculture. I hear it from people in business as well. And they just would like the government to step back and let them run their business.
I think you're going to hear a lot of that when you go to the coffee today, too.
Yes. It's the thing I always hear, and it doesn't matter what your business is. Government always has their hands in there trying to tell you how to run it. And like I said, it could be agriculture, it could be banking, it could be insurance, any small business. And so I'm working with Senator Heidi Heitkamp, who's a Democrat from North Dakota, and we're looking at storage facilities and the cost that will increase for farmers if they have to meet some new regulations that are coming out there. It will be like $70,000 more a tank in order to meet those new regulations. So we'd like to have them step back and take a look at that.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk about some veterans issues right after this.
Hey, Nebraska, Dave Ramsey here. When I get asked where you should keep your money, for me it's a no-brainer. Locally owned community banks like First State Bank in Scottsbluff and Gering. They offer all the bells and whistles of the big banks, but with free checking that includes free e-statements, free online banking, and no-charge First mobile banking, free ATM transactions nationwide, and no monthly maintenance fees. First State Bank, Scottsbluff and Gering. Member FDIC.
Back on News Extra, we're talking to Senator Deb Fischer this morning. Very pleased that she found her way over here this morning and had time for us as she is in Scottsbluff today. Again, the coffee at Bluff's Bakery, 1570 Broadway in Scottsbluff today, 8:30. If you'd like to ask the senator any questions or just listen to her for a half hour, an hour, however long it takes, I suppose. Let's talk about some things in regards to the veterans. I know you've introduced some legislation with them as well, and we're also looking for this Hot Springs decision to come down. Any idea when that might occur?
Well, I was on a letter with the two senators from Wyoming and two senators from South Dakota. Adrian Smith was on, as well as two congresswomen from each of those states. So we had a letter to the VA asking for an extension on the time period for comments. There's a lot of concern out there about what's going to happen to Hot Springs, and I think the VA is looking at about 6 options. Hopefully by the end of this month, we'll see what they come out with. I know everybody's really worried because if they do close down Hot Springs, it's going to add another 100 miles on for folks to be able to travel to Rapid City. And Hot Springs really serves veterans in a 9-county area here in Nebraska. So we want to make sure that we keep track of what they're trying to do, and we'll look at what they present for an option, and then we have to decide where we're going to go from there. But it's good working with the senators from Wyoming and South Dakota on this. Yeah.
When you go to your town halls here during this recess, I mean, I've touched on a number of issues. What other thing? Is there anything? Is it overreach of government that's the biggest thing that people are concerned about? The election? What is it?
You know, my town halls last anywhere from an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half usually. And I just give a little update, about a 10-minute update at the beginning. And I try to be positive because so many times we hear how nothing's happening in Washington. And, you know, I'm frustrated as well. People are frustrated out there. But I think it's important that folks understand that we are getting some good things done. You know, the highway bill, we got that passed. That's huge for this area of the state to be able to get that infrastructure taken care of. We passed an education bill that gets rid of that No Child Left Behind. That's another big bill for the state of Nebraska. We did the FAA reauthorization to help our airports, especially here in Scottsbluff. Adrian Smith and I worked on that. So there's all sorts of bills out there that we're working on, and that's my message when I have the town halls. And then when we answer questions for about an hour, and I usually answer till people are done asking. But it's usually local, which is different this year. It's more of a local flavor. I expect to hear ag concerns here today. I heard that in Kimball yesterday. There were concerns with agriculture. I heard it in Sydney as well. I hear about jobs. A lot of time businesses aren't able to find employees. They're worried about training for their employees too. And I know Western Community College has been really a leader in that in this part of the state and in training for to meet the job needs here in this county. So it just varies. But I've always said people they want you to listen. You know, that's my job is to listen to them, to help them with any concerns they have working with the VA or any other agency. And when they ask questions, that really is so helpful to me because then I know what's on their mind and I can take that with me to Washington.
Well, it's nice to hear that you're actually scoring some touchdowns, crossing the goal line occasionally rather than just blocking and tackling all the time, trying to keep bad things from getting passed, and you're actually getting good things done.
And there are good things. You know, Cory Booker, this is my favorite story. Cory Booker is a Democrat senator from New Jersey. He was mayor of Newark, New Jersey. He and I don't have a lot in common. He's very, very liberal, you know, and I'm a conservative Nebraskan. He's a vegan. I am a cattle rancher. So we don't have too much in common, but we try and find things that we can work on. And we just introduced a bill that will set up a pilot program for veterans that are suffering from PTSD to provide them with service dogs. I think that is a great bill. It's going to have a huge impact on these veterans' lives. So he and I are going to work hard and try and get that passed.
That's good. Glad to hear some bipartisan work being done. All right, I know you got to run. We appreciate you stopping by. You're always welcome here anytime.
Well, I love
anytime
stopping.
You're in Scottsbluff.
I love stopping. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Senator Deb Fischer stopping by here on News Extra this morning.
On the air, online, and streaming live on your mobile device. 960 KNEB, Scottsbluff, Gearing, your trusted voice for news.